Good evening, everyone. We are back once again with another show, thanks to DLM Machinery. Great to have your company. We've got all our regular segments and big guests coming up on the show very, very shortly. We'll get stuck into all of that and more in just a few moments. But first, with thanks to Little Rivers Brewing Company, and we got a stack of photos to show you. It is our photo of the week. So thank you to everyone for all the fabulous photos that you've been sending them from far and wide around Tasmania. We've got some very special mentions and then the winner to announce. So let's get into it and have a look at our first one here. This is from Anna Cornish, who sent this one in from down in the depths of Blunston Arena last weekend. The Southeast Auskick Centre getting ready to go out at half-time. The North Melbourne and Port Adelaide clash, and don't they look excited? Our next photo, sent in by Elizabeth Webber, this one, and this is father and son, Cade and Harry, water boys for the Campbelltown Football Club. Look at that weather. I'm not sure if the weather's going to be quite as good for football this weekend, but thank you very much, Elizabeth, for sending in that fabulous photo. Now, this is a great shot here. This was taken after the final siren in the old Scholars clash between OHA and St Virgil's, thanks to Jared Blair, who sent us in that beautiful photo from late in the afternoon. Now, this was a significant day. The next two photos, have a look at the reaction there. Steve Saltmaster, president there on the left from the Meander Valley Football Club. The Meander Valley Suns are celebrating their first NTFA senior win in Division 1. Get this, in 1,036 days. No wonder they are happy. So thank you very much to Joanne Skipper, who sent us in those two shots. I think it would have been a pretty good place to be in Westbury last Saturday night after that wonderful win. So well done to the Suns. Kirby Nesbitt sent us in the next one, also from out at Westbury. This is the Meander Valley Suns Auskickers last Sunday morning. And Simone Brinsmead has sent us in this shot. A great tackle here. This is from the Hutchins and Dosa match in the Old Scholars competition last weekend. And our final one for special mention, big thank you to Wendy Gallagher from down the northwest coast. This is East Ulverston taking on Turners Beach there at the East Ulverston Football Ground. Another spectacular day there in sunshine down the northwest. But our winner, love this photo. This has come from the East Coast Swans. Well done to Jazz Snooks, who is the winner. And that is her son there being chaired off the ground, his 100th consecutive junior game for the East Coast Swans. That's some effort. So well done, and thank you to you, Jazz, for sending in that photo. You are the winner, and a gift pack will be coming to you thanks to the Crafty Cuts range at Little Rivers Brewing Company. So we look forward to seeing a lot more photos again next week. Now, before we go to an ad, a big thank you to the Hawthorn Football Club, who are partnering with our show this year, and we've got another big game coming up very soon as well. Saturday week, it is the 8th of June at UTES Stadium. The Hawks are taking on the GWS Giants. This is going to be a huge day out there, 1:45 p.m. A lot of special events. We'll hear more about it next week that are planned to celebrate local community football. Should be a good game, as I said earlier. The Giants are sitting 5th at the moment on 7 wins from 11, but the improving Hawks, they've won 3 of their last 4 and lost that heartbreaker, of course, in the last couple of seconds to Port Adelaide the previous week as well. We are going to be joined on the show next Thursday by a very special guest. A player from the Hawthorn Football Club will be here with us on the show. So we look forward to that. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We have a very special Club in Focus coming up next.
Durable, reliable, heavy duty. Get the power you need from the people who know machinery. For sales, parts, servicing and expert advice. Call DLM Machinery today or visit dlmmachinery.com.au.
Welcome back with thanks to Harrison Agents. It's time for our Club in Focus. And last Saturday, a former great and very famous football club celebrated their last ever premiership. 50 years ago it was, in 1974. City South Football Club, well, they enjoyed enormous success back in the NTFA. 30 premierships, but by 1986, the club, well, they were in trouble. And ultimately merged with East Launceston to become the South Launceston Football Club. Incredible turnout last Saturday afternoon. Over 120 were there to celebrate and to reminisce. And one of those, and a member of the famous City South Football Club, is Craig Coombs, who joins us now. Craig, good to see you. Thanks very much for coming in. It must have been quite a day.
It was. It got a bit out of hand, actually. We had a good turnout, of course, but I think out of the two sides, the Premiership side and the State Premiership side, we only had 6 missing. We had a full contingent of 22 and 16 of them there. There was only 6 missing since 50 years ago. It's not too bad an effort.
That is unbelievable, isn't it? That's well done. And you've brought in, I love this because we've got the old woolen jumper here. Our viewers can see it, the old City South jumper. So that was worn by
Wayne Chugg.
Wayne Chugg, was it, that one?
That's
and
it.
Tell us about this blazer here, because that's a beautiful piece of dressing there. Worn at the National Carnival?
Yeah, 1972 when we won the State Premiership. We was lucky enough to go to Adelaide in the Australian Championships, and we had the blazers made to go over.
Magnificent. Yeah. Don't see that now, do you?
You don't.
And what was it like back then, Craig? Because you won, as you said, the state final. You then get to go and play. Is it against the premiers from, is it Western Australia, South Australia, Victoria? Is that how it works?
Yeah, Victoria.
What was that experience like?
Well, it was great. Actually, our home team, the City South football team, we ended up playing Mal Brown's team, East Perth,
right.
and we never took any hidings. We played Barry Robbins' side as well. It was at North Adelaide, and everything went well actually. In the following year, in '74, they took the 3 teams: North Hobart, Burnie, City. They picked 8 out of each team and took over, and it just didn't work. We were shaking hands and meeting people on the plane on the way over, and of course we met Richmond. You imagine what they were like in 1974. No, it wasn't pretty. It certainly wasn't pretty.
No. And getting together last weekend, I mean, not only did it bring people from your club, but you had people like North Launceston. I mean, the great Peter Daniel was your MC. How did you get people that were opposition to come and mingle and socialise and undertake those roles? That must have been quite something.
Well, Peter's he's a real good friend of Stewie Barclay, our ex-captain and coach, and he played with him at Essendon, and they were good mates. And he also, if people don't realise, that Peter was our last City South coach back in '85 and half of '86. So we thought, and what we were trying to get going is an NTFA thing, not just the club thing, but next year the winner of the Premiership was North Launceston, so we'll pass the baton over to North Launceston and hope that they do the same thing following year Launceston. So
love it.
We just like to get a little thing going where old players can get together and talk a load of whatever. Yeah,
no, well, that's what they do. The stories get worse, isn't it? Or, they get extrapolated a fair bit. I think that's how it goes normally, isn't it?
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. We wanted to focus on your club because it is an historic club and also in the AFL Tasmania Hall of Fame as a great club. You've had some incredible footballers over the journey as well. We're going to show a few faces here that'll bring back some amazing memories. But first up, I think we've got Graham Dreams Wilkinson, a well-known personality. There he is, looking very, very well. Great footballer, tremendous commentator as well. I mean, it must have been magnificent to have people like Graham in there, and our next guest we'll see up there as well. We've got Badger Luttrell, and then shortly we'll see the great Derek Pearden. There he is. Of course, he was the first Indigenous footballer to play with the Richmond Football Club as well. I mean, he's pretty laconic and an amazing footballer. Looks pretty relaxed there as well. But how good was it to have those and everyone else as part of the day?
Well, when you talk about City South, the first 3 names that roll off your tongue would be Wilkie, Badger and Berkeley Cox. We sadly lost during last month or whatever. And but the turn-ups, you have probably the most highly decorated player at City, who we don't realise, is Al Pearson, who played in something like 2 under-19 premierships and 4 senior. These are winning premierships. So it's not too bad an effort. It's mainly once you join City South that you usually stay there. So
And is that what you like? What attracted you to the club?
Well, it was district football when we all started. So, and I lived down the Punch Bowl, so I was a keen North Launceston person. I know when I got in the Tasmanian underage team in the city the team used to go away and play for schoolboys. Bobby Withers donated me my blazer, so I was a pretty keen North Launceston guy, but ended up at City and no regrets whatsoever.
We touched on in the intro, of course, eventually things changed at the club and the reality was that the club could no longer survive on its own, ultimately merging with East Launceston. Talk me through those times and how tough that was with obviously such a rich history of this football club. How tough a period was that?
It was pretty hard. There was a lot of City people just went one way and got it's the same as anything. It was a bit nasty and whatever. But I coached up at South Launceston for 7 years in some sort of capacity. But I think a little bit more can be done. Even there's no reason why South Launceston couldn't have a day for City South, wear our jumpers and play a game in them. Same with East. Something just to get the ball rolling and get people back to the local football.
And there's some very good people involved up at the club there, and go up there a bit to watch them play. And I'm sure they'll be watching the show as well and taking that on board, because it is history is important. We never want it to be lost, and you only see with the turnout last week. But look, thank you for coming on. It's a great story, and with us here on our Tassie Rules Tasmania's Footy Show, we don't want to forget history, and it's really important to focus on it and present. I mean, these jumpers here. How on earth was it? What was it like playing in a woolen jumper? I mean, the footballers today would have no idea.
It was pretty hard, especially if you wore a long sleeve jumper and it was raining. You just imagine that getting wet. It tripled its weight, I'd say. Yep. Running around with one of those on.
The red and the white, great colours, and thank you for bringing them all in too today, Craig. We really appreciate it, and well done to you on keeping and your team that are involved with keeping the tradition alive. And I think it's a fantastic thing that you're involving the other clubs as well that have also such an important part of football history here in Northern Tasmania. Thanks for coming on the show.
Lovely, Rick. Pleased to be here.
That's Craig Coombs joining us from the City South Football Club, a great football club and a great part of what our show is all about. Community football and focusing on local clubs, whether they're here with us still or remembering their great history. Time for a quick break. Our women's segment coming up very shortly with a special guest.
Durable, reliable, heavy duty. Get the power you need from the people who know machinery. For sales, parts, servicing and expert advice. Call DLM Machinery today or visit dlmmachinery.com.au.
Welcome back with thanks to Cleanaway. It's time for our women's segment once again for this week. Now, with the Women's All-Star Representative Games getting underway this Sunday, that'll be happening down at Dial Park, Penguin. We'll chat a little bit later on about that. We thought we'd catch up with someone who has seen and been a part of women's football for a number of years and seen it all. Christy Baker, she started her football journey back in 2007 with Clarence. She's been a premiership captain. She's a current coach of the Lauderdale Football Club in the SFL Women's Division 1 and also with the Tasmanian Masters team. And it's a great pleasure to welcome Christy Baker to the show. Christy, lovely to have you with us. Thank you for being part of our women's segment.
Lovely to be here. Thanks very much for the invite.
Now, that's a pleasure. Look, as I touched on, you have been a part of women's football for a very, very long time and obviously seen a lot of great changes that have come forward. But what was it like in the very beginning? Because I think we were talking a little bit earlier, you might have said to me during the day that there were a lot of people out there who didn't know how this was going to go, and some even said that this might just be a phase. Well, how wrong were they?
Yeah. I know it's pretty incredible to think where we started and where we're at now. I was fortunate enough to see an ad in the local paper or in the Mercury in 2007 advertising for women's football players to come along and have a kick. And I thought, great, my brother had played a lot of senior footy. I'd always been really keen, but there'd been no avenues or no opportunities for us to play football. So I thought, why not? I'm going to go along and have a crack. Managed to find myself on the first female committee
Wow.
that got together in 2007 to start to push women's football in Tassie at a senior level. And really interesting to see that, how people responded to, hey, we're a bunch of women that want to play a game of footy. So for those first few years, it was a lot of us organising ovals, us paying for umpires, us paying for ground hire, hiring our own buses to transport our teams around the state, because at that time it was just Clarence and Launceston. But, we were really invested. And I remember being told maybe late in 2007 that we're really sorry, we'd like to support you, but women's senior football, we don't think it's going to go anywhere. We think it's going to fade out. And how wonderful is it that 18 years later, you've got elite standard of football at all ages across the country.
It's incredible. So what drove you and the others that were with you in those early days, what drove you guys to just say, hey, no, we're not going to accept that. We are going to continue forward?
Well, look, I've got to be honest. I think it was just our desire to play football more so than anything else. There was a bunch of women that had come together as, I was 24 when I first started playing footy. We had a lot of people, no underages really at that point, who just had never had the opportunity to play junior footy growing up. And we'd watched our brothers play and we watched our family members play, and we just wanted to have the opportunity. And I think, as a woman, that's a really big driver. When somebody says you can't do something, it gives you that kind of encouragement to say, actually, yes, we can.
Absolutely. And Christy, we fast forward to today. You're involved in the women's program down with the Lauderdale Football Club. Fast forward 17 years from 2007, what you see now, and I guess the stepping stones, the pathway that exists in our own state very, very shortly as well. How proud are you, I guess, of yourself, but also everyone that's sort of come beyond you in terms of getting football to where it is, and particularly, I guess, administrators as well who doubted that this could get off the ground?
Oh, look, I think it's amazing, and I think the pathway across the national program, looking back to, the state carnivals that we had in, the early 2010s, 11 and 13, launching out into the exhibition matches between Melbourne and the Bulldogs, and then the creation of the AFLW. I think that entire pathway has really just created this space for women and young girls to thrive in the football space. And something I really love, it's taken me a long time to rack up my career games, but I'm playing against girls in the coaching girls in the junior leagues, 14, 15, 16 years old, and they're already hitting these milestones of 100 games. And I just think, that's just absolutely incredible that these young girls have had an opportunity by the age of 16 to play 100 games of football.
And they obviously have a pathway, but the other great thing as well is that when you think your career might be over, there's Masters football, Christy, and I know that you're heavily involved with that. And we got some photos we're going to pop up on the screen here. But tell us a little bit about where Tasmanian Women's Masters football is at, and we're going to look at some photos of that we've got Hobart and also the Southeast Suns coming up on the screen. But tell us a bit about how that's going.
It's going wonderfully, actually. So last Sunday was the inaugural games of the Southern Women's Masters competition in Tasmania. And it's interesting because it's taken us a long time to get to competition of this level in the state. We've actually been represented at the national level in Masters since 2016. So we kind of did a little bit of backwards planning and started attending national carnivals before we had our own competition up and running. But it's wonderful now that we've reached out to the community. We knew that there were women out there not playing football who really wanted to enter playing football as a mature age player, and really happy to announce that, over the past couple of months, we've had 81 women register in the 32 plus category. Wow. And we had 4 teams represented last Sunday, which is absolutely incredible. And 40 of those women have never played a game of football before.
How good's that? So there's 40 new players to the game of Australian rules football.
100%. It's just an incredible, and Sunday was an incredible, I think, experience for all of those people. And, shout out to North Hobart, Lindisfarne, the South East Suns and Hobart for supporting women of a Masters level to play footy at their clubs.
Couldn't agree more. Now, you are a very, very busy person because you coach Lauderdale as well. You're coming off the bye, and we're going to show the matches in a moment. But you guys are taking on Glenorchy this weekend. So we'll have a look at the upcoming games. They're on the screen now for everybody to see. But what are you expecting from the Magpies this weekend?
Look, we're really excited for the game this weekend. We've had the opportunity to play Glenorchy once already this season. Lucky enough to come away with the win, but they've certainly recruited some really talented players, and I can see that over the past few weeks they've really started to gel as a senior team. So I'm really excited to see what they bring, actually, because I think their standard of football is just going to get better and better with each game that they play.
All right, should be very exciting. Hey, Christy Baker, it's been great chatting with you, and I think on behalf of everyone, a lot of people owe a lot to you for what you've done in football and women's football, getting off the ground and to where it is today. So thank you for your contribution. I know it continues, and I think a lot of people are going to get a lot more out of you, obviously, as we move forward towards a VFLW and AFLW as well. It's a wonderful contribution, and we wanted to recognise that today on our footy show. So thank you, and great to have you on the show with us as well. Real pleasure to have you with us.
Great, thanks very much.
It's Christy Baker. She's coach of the Lauderdale Football Club, but also involved in Tasmanian Masters. And you see, she's there from the very, very beginning when there were just 2 women's football teams in women's football here right across Tasmania. Great to have her on the show. All right, as we just saw then, we saw the matches coming up in the SFLW this weekend, but representative football is on this weekend. It all gets underway. We can see there the schedule for the women down south. This is for next weekend. Also the men's games you can see on Saturday the 8th of June, but also the women are taking on, it is the SFLW and the NWFL, 12:30 next Saturday at North Hobart Oval. And then on Monday, the NTFA head on down to North Hobart Oval. They take on the SFL, the under-20s at 11 a.m, and at 1 p.m. it is the senior women. But the NTFA senior women's rep squad, well, they announced their team last night up at the Rocherley Football Club. You can see the squad up there, coached by Ash Smith. Well done to Launceston's Georgia Hill. She's been selected as captain of that team. And a real rising talent as well, Liana Freestone from South Launceston Football Club is the vice captain. So the ladies are going to be in action this Sunday. That is going to be at Dial Park in Penguin, where the NTFA women's team will be playing the NWFL. That should be an absolute beauty. We've got a team photo as well. There they are from last night, when they were presented with their jumpers. That's not their jumpers that they're wearing, of course, there. That is their hoodies. But wish them well, and the NWFL well. Great to see women's rep footy coming up this Sunday at Dial Park if you want to get down there and watch. The Devils are going to be in action as well in the Coates Talent League, the boys and girls. So huge day in Penguin. That's it of women's football for this week with thanks to Cleanaway. Don't go anywhere though. Back with more footy news from around Tasmania.
Durable, reliable, heavy duty. Get the power you need from the people who know machinery. For sales, parts, servicing and expert advice. Call DLM Machinery today or visit dlmmachinery.com.au.
Well, that was terrific to have Christy on the show for our women's segment this week. And now to finish things off, it's time to have a look at football around Tasmania. And just a reminder once again, of course, that AFL action back at University of Tasmania Stadium coming up next Saturday afternoon at 1:45. Hawthorn are taking on the GWS Giants. Tickets are available, of course, 15,500 there a few weeks ago when the Hawks pipped the Saints in a cracking game. And this should be a beauty as well. And we'll be joined by one of Hawthorn's senior players on the show next week. Huge day coming up. It's a big day every year. The Rocherley Football Club is the place to be on Sunday. They'll be expecting around 2,000 up there. Rocherley are taking on Bracknell in the seniors. That is at 2:15 p.m. Rocherley currently sitting third, the reigning premiers with 5 wins and 2 losses. Bracknell in 6th place. They've won their last 2. They're 3 4 at the moment. But as I said, it's a huge day, the Aboriginal round, with thanks to Graham Gardner, the enormous work that he puts into this each and every year. The Little Long Walk, that will be beginning at 10:30 a.m. For anyone that wants to be involved, that makes its way to the Rochely football ground. We'd love to see as many people there as possible joining in, many already registering for that. There'll be a pre-game function at 11:30, and then we're going to see some great under-17 girls football action between North and East Launceston in the NTJFA. So that should be a cracking afternoon at Rochely. Now, we had him on the show last week, had the bye, and now there we can see Shane Soup Campbell. The countdown is on. He needs 3 goals to reach 1,000 career goals with the Sheffield Football Club. So we'll be keeping a very close eye on that. They are taking on Wesley Vale on Saturday in the reserves. The opening bounce is at 12:20. So we'll have a report on that next week, and let's hope he gets to it this weekend. All right, SFL round 9 in men's football. Games there on your screen. Saturday afternoon, we've got Claremont taking on Lindisfarne at Abbotsfield Park at 2 p.m. Down at the Signet Oval, they are at home to the Hobart Tigers. And then at 2:15 p.m, down at Shark Park, Dodgers Ferry are at home to Brighton, and that'll be the TV game as well. And Huonville are taking on the Boyer Boys, New Norfolk, at the Huonville Oval at 3:30 p.m. Sorrel with the bye this week. Turning our attention to men's rep footy, we have got a big game coming up next Friday night, the 7th of June. And it is the Darwin Association taking on the NWFA. That is at the Wivenhoe Showground. So get along to that. Last year was the first year that these two associations played each other for around 7 or 8 years, and it was a huge success from all reports. So should be a great night there next Friday. We also got to congratulate Geordie Payne. Fantastic news yesterday. Geordie has part of the Tasmania Devils program, and also with North Launceston and the Wynyard Football Club, the number 1 pick in the AFL mid-season rookie draft, and he is headed to North Melbourne. So huge congratulations to Geordie. All right, a couple of more things to mention. It's going to be a big night down at St Helens this weekend. The East Coast Swans are holding the Hall of Fame induction, plus premiership reunions for the 1984, 94 and 2014 premiership teams. So it's going to be quite the night down there at the East Coast Swans ground in St Helens, being held at the club rooms. Check out all the details on their Facebook page if you want to get along. They'd love to see you there. And more celebrations for the club as well coming up this Saturday. One of their favourite sons, Sam Child, is playing his 250th club game. They take on Evandale this Saturday down at St Helens. So a big day coming up down there. All right, make sure you get all your footy news in, because we'll put it on the show. That's what we're all about. Thanks very much to all of our guests. Thank you for your company and your great support of our footy show. We'll catch you next Thursday.